Hagan Kappler, Daisy. And Daisy is a national brand of custom integrators. I'm the CEO and co-founder. And what do? I just try to help all of our teammates make their lives easier, help them grow. And then I'm also a mom of 4 kids, so I do a lot. I just make a lot of spaghetti and meatballs.
I love that. I love that. Talk to me about CEDIA Expo here in Denver. How's the show?
Awesome. It's been great. We have a booth this year, so I've been pretty heads down in the booth meeting new people who I've never met before. Now it's my 3rd time here, so I actually now feel a little bit like I can say hi to folks who I do know. I got a little bit of a lay of the land. Also, we've brought 25 or 30 of our team members, so owners of different branches, leaders of different branches around the country. A little bit of a reunion for our team, so we're having a lot of fun over there.
That's awesome. That's amazing. It's funny. So you've been to 3 editions, or this is the 3rd or the 4th? Third. What do you, and I get that you're in the booth, head down, talking to people. I get that. But what are you seeing outside of that? Are there any themes that you're noticing? What are you hearing this year?
Well, because we're talking to folks about ways where we could be helpful, and they're also coming to ask kind of, if folks are coming to our booth, they're curious about what we're up to because they've seen press around acquisitions we've done in their areas, and so maybe they're curious, maybe they're nervous, and so we're just trying to clarify those things. And they're also just asking kind of, any advice that that we could offer in terms of growth or tools that they might be able to tap into. So those are some of the things that I'm hearing are just trends around consolidation, ideas around exit strategies, folks who are getting to a point in their trajectory of their business that maybe they've plateaued a bit and they're just thinking, maybe there's an opportunity for me to take my business to the next level, and maybe I don't want to necessarily do it the way that I've been doing it for the last 10 years. There's also ways in which we can help in terms of sales and those types of things that people are asking about. So, just brainstorming and working. We're better together than you are on your own, and I think everybody in the industry would agree with that.
Talk to me about the footprint of the company. The footprint of the company geographically, and then primarily who you work with. Are you working with the interior design community? Are you working primarily with architects, with the homeowner? Who are you working with?
Footprint of the company, we have now over 20 locations. We just did our largest acquisition in New York City with a company called Electronic Environments New York, or ENI. So we now have a location in New York City and in the Hamptons. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I love New York City, and so that was always kind of a pride project for me. Oh, a Daisy van just drove by. Anyway, so we have now locations here in Denver. We have our largest location is probably Northern California. We have a good footprint there. We have a lot of locations in Florida. We are in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We have a location outside of DC. So we've built out locations in the Northeast, so including Boston, New Jersey, Norwalk, and then we're also in Southern California. In fact, that's where our headquarters is. That's where I live. So we've got presence across the country. And what was your second question?
Who you primarily work with?
Yeah, just we mirror the rest of the industry. Probably 80% of who we work with are custom builders and then architects, interior designers. With the exception of one of our branches, the one in Costa Mesa, they do a really good job working direct with the consumer, with the homeowner, and they are probably 80% of their business is with the consumer. That's where a network of owners across the country can be really helpful because they can help deliver the best practices to all of our other guys who do a really good job working with builders, but maybe don't want to just be reliant on, kind of the longer lead time that the builders, have us working around. And similarly, the Costa Mesa guys would probably like to, develop more relationships with builders. So that's the kind of power of a network. I will say that we've had a lot of success building out an ongoing service, and that's about, hey, project's not done when the installation is complete. We are all about going back to the consumer every quarter and getting to know a family. We have a CRM now that's built, so we have an end-to-end tech stack where we can support our teams out in the field. That enables us to understand and learn about our consumer. We go back every quarter. We keep up with the family. Family can let us know when things, are not working. That's kind of table stakes. And it's really just about making sure that as tech evolves, we're keeping the consumer, updated about that. But also as the family evolves and their needs evolve, we can kind of stay in touch with them. So yeah, maybe the kids are getting older and they want more privacy, want to, have different kind of shades in their rooms or different, type of entertainment in the media center or whatever the case may be. At the same time, the shade technology is evolving, lighting is evolving, right? So this way we can kind of keep the consumer updated as those things evolve. So I think that's going to, that recurring service model and that kind of touch point to the consumer is really changing our business overall.
Well, and if you talk about the evolution in the residential side,
yeah,
massive, just massive. And I think there's this combination between expectations and what homeowners want now,
right?
Many of which didn't know what was available until they start to see
exactly
what they can have.
Yeah,
and then you have this changing nature of what residential is.
Right.
You have a multifamily,
yeah,
aging in place, and,
right.
and you have to change that environment,
right,
for 3, sometimes 4 different generations,
right,
all under one roof. You have these co-living environments where you have main living spaces and then private residential. It's just it's changing rapidly. And then you have the fact that, and I love that we're having this conversation, because someone who lives in Dallas has different needs, wants, expectations than someone who lives in Manhattan.
Right.
Southern California in general, the expectations are different. People think an integrator is an integrator and product is product, and you're doing it the same way, and you're really not.
No. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's a great point. And you could have the same consumer who has, our customers typically will have home in Southern California, home in Park City, home across the country, in Florida, and even their needs in those different homes are different. Yet they want the app to look the same. They want the button on the, wall to act and look the same. So that kind of consistency is also helpful. They don't want to have and they want to have one person to call, one team that they can rely on.
I was having a conversation a few months ago with a good friend of mine. Her name's Joan Barton of Dirty Girl Construction.
Oh, cool.
And Joan and I have been friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when Joan and I first met, I was a little sheepish about asking her about being a woman in a predominantly male-driven industry.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, you shouldn't be questioning that. It's an important topic. It's an important subject matter, which is why I'm glad. And I've had similar conversations with architects.
Yeah.
And I want to have the conversation with you.
Okay.
Yours is a primarily male-driven industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine when you got into it, you really noticed it. And maybe now that you've been doing it a while, you don't really notice it as much. But I want to talk about getting more young girls aware of the industry and bringing more young women into the fold. How do we do that?
We've launched an apprentice program. We feel like it's, for us, it's a business decision. It's not it's social imperative, but it's also just good business because we need more technicians. It's hard to find great talent. This is our most important asset is our technicians, and that's essentially what we're offering the consumer is the technician who's in the home, that service technician who's revisiting with the consumer. And if we're not reaching out to and training women, then we're missing out on 50% of the population. So we've started an apprentice program where we can tap into talented women who maybe and men who don't know about this industry because we don't have a trade school. We're not reaching out to high school kids, even though the HVAC industry is, and the plumbing industry is, and construction industry is, and those are, you can make a great living doing that. We think that unlike those industries, this may be even better for women. It's a pretty predictable lifestyle, right? It's in some cases our branches work 4 days a week, so that works great if you have a family. It's coding. It's very kind of quiet work. Customer service is really important, and sometimes 50% of the time there's a woman in the home who's using this stuff, who's struggling with it. So it might be better from a client hands perspective to have a woman in the home interacting with the decision maker. So yeah, we think from just a labor pool perspective, and then also from a just understanding who our consumer is, just as good business sense. So yeah, we're investing in it. Our goal is to be at gender parity from a tech side in 5 years. You can hope for a better. Someone said yesterday, oh, we're gonna, it's great. CEDIA is like going to the Capitol Hill, and we're talking to Washington D.C. about, and that's great. There's nothing wrong. I mean, it's fantastic that they're doing that, but I don't know about you, but I'm not going to wait for the government to make a difference here, especially when it comes to women advancement. So I mean, I think
at least we can laugh about it.
So I think, and also you can't, like I said, you can't just do it because you think it's the right thing to do, which it is, but you have to do it because you really think there's a business, and we think it'll give us a competitive advantage. So
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
In this conversation, though, there's so much more that goes into that I think that people don't realize. Young girls don't realize that they're not playing, in many cases, maybe because they're not being given an opportunity to play with it, to take, I almost said VCRs apart, but to take a switcher apart, to take apart any kind of technology and put it back together to see how things work. It's almost like boys and girls are trained to think differently. But you've had a big push for young girls and teenage girls to get into the STEM education field, and I think feeding that funnel sort of opens this new door to what possibilities are. And let's be honest, your industry is not going away anytime soon.
Yeah. Do you have young kids?
My kids, I have one that's just out of college.
Okay.
And my daughter is a junior.
Because I have a 7 and a 9-year-old, and my 7-year-old daughter her favorite subject is technology. She gets exposed to taking apart technology. She's working in computers. She's a little athlete. She's playing sports. She's my son is very interested and really good at, he's going to be a little comedian. He's more interested. He plays sports too, but he's a little bit more interested in drama. So I think schools are doing a really good job of exposing kids to math and technology. Girls are crushing it in coding and math in school. So again, in our company, for example, we're going to high schools and we're exposing the kids, the seniors, for those who are interested in trade schools, we're exposing them to opportunities to come work with us. And we have programs to teach these kids who are graduating from high school to training programs. We have a learning management system. Because now of our size and scale, we can get support from the vendors and the manufacturers. I was just talking to someone at Sony who's really passionate about this, So there is support for this. There is investment. So yeah, and I think at a young age there's plenty of opportunity.
And it's interesting because my kids are older than yours.
Yeah.
And in Southern California, my kids were in a phenomenal school district, but still, we had to introduce them, and we introduced them through Odyssey of the Mind.
Mm-hmm.
That was how we introduced our kids into STEM technology. And it was funny. My son became an engineer, and my daughter is going into physical therapy and that field. She just wasn't. She enjoyed it, but it just didn't really click with her. But I also think that there still aren't enough opportunities. It's almost like a preconceived pathway that exists, and you have to make the effort to get girls into STEM.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny too, because the way boys and girls think are very different, but girls and women are perfectly suited for STEM and technology in more ways because of the way that they think about and process things. Men and women think differently about things, and I don't know if that's a byproduct. We're going way deep into the education process, but
Yeah.
I think it's important to explore it because then you can address it.
Yeah, and I think the other point is results, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we're really keen on. So I'll tell you that our woman-led branch here in Denver is one of our top performing branches. We just signed our first woman franchise location. She's someone who worked for me when I was at ServiceMaster Clean, which is a commercial cleaning business, which had pretty much all men running those operations. I was the CEO. This is not my first time, by the way, being in an all-male industry. It's not something I'm afraid of. It's not something it's not my first rodeo. She's a top performer, and she's going to crush it here. There's plenty of examples where women are, killing it in this space. So for us, we just look at the results, and again, we look at the opportunity. And if someone doesn't want to invest in identifying, finding those talented women who love math, coding, STEM, their loss, because truly they're just going to be leaving opportunity on the table. And same goes at the top. I mean, we've got the issue, I think, for our industry is similar to the fact that there's 50% of the labor pool is made up of women, 50% of the users, 50% of the decision makers are women. So if 100% of the folks leading companies who are innovating technology, who are running the integration companies are men, then we're missing out on really understanding and connecting to the people who are making the decisions and using our products. And so that's where we feel like we can start to connect a little bit better to at least half of our users and our homeowners, similar to the interior designers. I've watched some salespeople, male salespeople, and the way they try to connect to a female interior designer, and it just doesn't. They just don't connect to the interior designers who are mostly women in that same way. And so, again, it's just missing out on an opportunity where I think, the women on our team, we have a brilliant woman general counsel who has written an incredible paper on tariffs that has been pretty. I just didn't see anything impressive written by any men in this industry about how to proactively go after tariffs in the space. We have women on our team who kind of rewrote the script on how to recruit talent in the space. We have women on this team who have done really exciting things in the marketing space. So, I think, again, I look at results, and I'd encourage folks to do the same. And also, we've got the other thing about our team is we're bringing people outside the industry. Like, diversity comes in all forms, right? So we've got diverse talent in the form of folks who come from Wall Street, folks who come from pest control, folks who come from franchising, men and women, and then folks who come from inside this industry, all across the country. And I think that's kind of where the magic is happening for our team, and that's working for us.
Yeah. Last thing I have for you regarding the business model and your expansion plan.
Yeah.
Because I think that there is strength in size, especially in this industry, especially when talking to brands about a litany of things, not the least of which is getting input on. I had a conversation earlier about cabling, and just the lack of a uniform cabling system. And I think it started because we were talking about, like, if you find a house that's old enough, you can go fiber, Ethernet, Cat5, coax, phone lines, knob and tube. I mean, if you go back far enough, you can find all of these different cabling systems transmission
it's like Frankenstein.
systems. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it feels to me like if the integrators, who are the ones who have to do this, it can provide enough input, then you can affect change.
Yeah.
And if you're a big enough player, then you can affect change faster.
Right.
So I imagine too that because the industry is growing and is what it is, that there is a growth strategy. Where do you see your opportunity?
That's certainly one of them is to have a seat at the table with manufacturers to talk about things like innovation, to share learnings from what we're seeing in homes in the field, to say, kind of enough with the bright, shiny objects. We need help with the product that you launched last year, because that's what we're still fixing, and to the same tune, hey guys, when's the next innovation coming? Because we're still, this stuff is getting pretty, old, and the customer is really looking for something, new, and here's where the needs are. So yeah, certainly those are the types of conversations we're having or would like to have with vendors and manufacturers, and in the form of strategic programs and pricing, fine, and that makes all the sense in the world. But frankly, you could get that from a buying group. We're really, that's fine, but we're looking to kind of take things to another level. Why is a national brand important? And why do we think that's a gap? We think that with a national brand, there's brand awareness, there's the ability to have higher price. There's the impact. There's the ability to have scale in the form of purchasing, so you have better margins. And I'm talking from a franchising perspective. So for an owner who has some gas in the tank but doesn't want to sell their business for 2 times earnings, and might want to partner with us and sell in a few years for 10 or 20 times earnings, which is what I think these businesses ought to be valued at. We can kind of help and get some scale, help that business individually, but then collectively, achieve through scale some of these things that national brands can accomplish. And again, through also partnering with vendors, we think that there's some really, for example, marketing. Something that we've observed is, there's the manufacturers who would love to get into homes, would like to try to use their marketing funds for some reason, and so they're kind of throwing, I think, the funds over the wall to dealers, like, hey, kind of use this money however you'd like. And dealers are like, well, how should I use it? Well, we partner with, New York City marketing agency. We can pool all these marketing funds across, 22 locations, and do, right now we're spending $1 million for a test just in Northern California to really look at digital marketing out of home, do influencer campaigns, and really test to see what happens when you do a real deep dive into one location where you've got density. I mean, that's where scale can have an impact. If it doesn't work, great, you kill it. If it works, now I can take it to all my other areas. So that's where we think.
It's interesting too, because it sounds like you're talking about the traditional co-op model of brand funds used in a certain way. And what's interesting is I don't think those funds have been effectively used in a manner in which you're talking about using them.
Right, and I don't think so. And how would you do it? Because which dealer gets the benefit of what. And so I understand where that challenge can come into play. So yeah, we think, and look, we want to help the industry as a whole, right? Because we feel like if we can get more investment coming into the space, we want to help all owners. We know that attempts to this haven't worked in the past. So we really want to make sure that, we know a lot of eyes are on us, and we want it to be successful. So, we want it to be successful for us, but we know that there's a lot of folks who are depending on this to be successful. And we do think that if we can be successful, that will help others in the industry, similar to pest control, right? So 30 years ago, this is kind of where the pest control industry is. Today there are some bigger brands, who have 20% market share, 10% market share, but the smaller mom and pop players are still able to get, a 15 times, 20 times, multiple on earnings, because there's so much interest from, financial sponsors and strategics who are wanting to get into the space. That's our kind of vision for this. And yeah, we think that having a national brand here, having that consistency, attracting great talent, that all of those things will be good for the company and for our individual branches.
Do you use, or is the idea to use funds like that to expand the opportunity with potential specifiers? Like, for example, to reach out to a group like interior designers, because I feel, I am stunned, to be honest with you. I think interior designers should be at CEDIA Expo.
Yeah.
They should be here to understand what new business lines, what new brand extensions they can do. And I've used the example similar to an outdoor kitchen. That was territory that used to belong to the landscape architect.
Yeah, right.
But now interior designers have taken that over, and if that adds $250,000 to a project, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. And with the development of safe rooms, that are completely gapped so that you have a true safe room. It's not just about safe walls and safe room doors and bulletproof glass windows.
Right.
There's so much more that goes into that.
Right.
That you need an integrator.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
So is that the idea, is to reach out to groups like that to try to build an industry using adjacent industries?
Yeah, we have certainly partnerships with groups of interior designers and ways to try to educate those, our local interior designers, both at the local level and at the national level. In some of our marketing efforts, while we have a very specific target consumer in mind, the reach will also leak into an interior designer, a custom builder, the target consumer's husband. So we do think that there will be some kind of leakage. I think on the interior designer side, my observation, just from my own personal experience, and also from watching our sales guys try to, explain this and walking through their clients while the interior, there just needs to be a lot more education and also humility. I think a little bit. It's a little bit like, you're such an idiot that you don't understand, this tunable lighting. And the interior designer, she just needs to be kind of walked through it a little bit. And the benefits of, or the harmful effects of blue light, for example. And can we just explain that in a little bit of a kind of kinder, gentler way than, you're such a dum-dum that you don't understand this lighting, or showing how setting a scene, how beautiful that can be, and how that can add to all the hard work that went into what she did, and if this all cost $250,000 and she got a piece of that, then you add on the $250,000 for the integration project. Hey, lady, you're leaving a little bit on the table here,
right? If
you wanted to participate in that. So I just think that if there could be just a little bit better partnership. And so, for example, the guys in New York City who we just acquired, the Eni team, they do a wonderful job in terms of partnering with both the custom builder, the interior designer, the architect. They're almost like a self-described therapist and working with their teams.
Love it.
And the homeowner. And I think there is a little bit of that, right? Just trying to kind of walk people through that. A little bit of patience. But yeah, at a national scale, in terms of advertising and explaining that to folks, and then also our quarterly service where we're going into a home and I think that'll also help because this isn't something where it's like a one and done. We're going to have to, it takes some time.
Subscription model.
Yeah, and well, we're not even charging the customer.
Really?
We go for free.
So you're the one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we're going for free.
And thank you for doing it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is
appreciate
awesome.
this.
Yeah, no, thank you. Really, really nice. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.